Hey guys, I just finished watching the new Captain America Civil War movie and I wanted to tell you guys what I thought of it. This is going to be a spoilery review of the new Captain America Civil War movie. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, don't watch this review. I loved it. I was so blown away by this movie. One of the things that I did, which you should never do when you go into a movie and you're anticipating a movie, is I let my expectations for this movie get really, really crazy sky high. And then I was talking to my friends and some of them were like, yeah, don't do that. You should never do that with movies. And at the very end, I was sitting in the theater and I was just sitting there watching the credits roll, and I looked like I had just had a giant orgasm on my face, and I realized that this movie not only set or met the expectations that I had for it, but it wildly outpaced them. So I was super happy about the creative direction of this movie, and also how it compares to the comic book Civil War storyline, but at the same time, how it kind of has its own signature as a story. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, and out of all of the movies that I've seen this year, and even last year, like Star Wars and Deadpool and Batman Superman, and all of the movies that are coming out later this year, like Suicide Squad and Doctor Strange, this is the one that I had the highest hopes for, and the movie did not disappoint at all. It was unbelievably good. This is probably the best superhero movie that I have ever seen in my entire life. One of the things that the story talks about is responsibility and who has to take accountability for the actions of superheroes. And obviously there was that main debate between Iron Man and Captain America. And I loved how they did that. It started off with the New Avengers, led by Captain America, taking down Crossbones. And at the very end of that engagement, you saw Scarlet Witch trying to contain with her magic powers this explosion that was set off by Crossbones. And she did her best, but she ended up directing all of the energy in such a way that a lot of people got killed. And that immediately set the tone for this movie, and talked about, and that kind of sets up the conversation that takes place throughout the movie, which is who has to take responsibility when things don't go according to plan. That's exactly how the storyline for comic book Civil War started, with a group of young superheroes who tried to intervene. Really bad stuff happened. That all of a sudden got the whole global community talking about who holds these superheroes to account for the choices that they make. So not only was it a visually amazing spectacle of a movie that was really, really fun and interesting to watch, it was also a deeply philosophical movie. And yeah, it was just amazing. The fight scenes between Captain America and Iron Man were amazing. One of the things that I thought about is in that big battle at that German airport where you saw Team Cap and Team Iron Man sort of lined up in the trailers before the actual movie came out. I started thinking, wow, Team Cap is way under. Team Cap is definitely the underdog. Team Iron Man is way overpowered. After you seeing that battle, I completely changed my mind on that. I was I totally underestimated Team Captain America, particularly because of Ant-Man. So Ant-Man not only has the ability to turn really small because of the Pym particle, he can actually do the exact opposite of that. And he did it. Toward the end of that battle, he turned into this giant version of Ant-Man, which reminded me of the character Goliath in the comic book Civil War. And that was another beat that they put into the movie that was really, really highly reminiscent of the comic book, and they did that a lot. Throughout the movie, we see characters, different characters from the comic books, but basically doing the same thing that some character did in the comic book itself. So, for example, there was this one moment in one of the big battles in the comic book where Sue Richards, the Invisible Woman, basically has a change of heart and she lets Captain America's team go. The same thing happened, but instead of it being the Invisible Woman, it was actually Black Widow. So Black Widow started out with a Team Iron Man in the main battle, and she ended up switching sides and basically decided to let Captain America go. So yeah, a lot of little moments. So you had the giant Ant-Man moment that compares to Goliath. You had Black Widow compared to Sue Storm. You had all these little key elements that reminded you of the comic book Civil War storyline, which was great. But at the same time, you can't try to completely copy that story because it's just too massive. The comic book version of the story is so massive, and they had a lot fewer characters, but that was actually a really good thing because they made the story tighter. It wasn't this sprawling tapestry of different comic book characters, which basically encompasses the entire Marvel universe in the comic book. it was much smaller, and it was much more focused on the tension between Iron Man and Captain America, and they did a really great job with that. At the end, it turns out that it was like the person who was sort of pulling the strings behind the scenes was like a Sokovian intelligence chief who pretty much had his whole family killed during the Battle of Sokovia in Avengers 2. Again, going back to that same theme of who has to take responsibility for the consequences of the actions of superheroes. And it was his goal to basically tear the Avengers apart. And at the end of the movie, we're not really sure if he successfully did that or not. One of the things that I was really not looking forward to is seeing Captain America arrested, because that's what happened in the comic book storyline. At the end, you see him basically surrendering, and he ends up going to jail. Basically, the exact opposite happened in the movie, which I loved. In fact, that's probably one of the reasons I liked the movie even more than I liked the comic book. Captain America not only escapes, he's able to basically preserve the Avengers and keep them intact. He just moves them to a new location, and he's aided by Black Panther. Black Panther was awesome in this movie. One of the highlights of the movie is seeing his vibranium weave suit and seeing him fight Captain America. And that's why you actually see, if you look at some of the promotional materials, Captain America's shield has like scratches on it. You might think, well, what's capable of damaging Captain America's vibranium shield? Vibranium claws that are on Black Panther's suit. So he was just one of the coolest and most formidable new characters in this new movie. In terms of comic relief, Spider-Man was amazing. It was so cool watching some of my friends like their faces light up when Spider-Man first gets introduced into the story, and watching him crack jokes the entire huge battle. It was like this amazing epic battle, but with like tremendous comic relief because of Spider-Man. And then Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, that was amazing. So you guys should definitely check this movie out. I feel like this movie pretty much, like, let's say you've watched every single Marvel movie and you don't think they're like the best movies ever, you don't think they're spectacular, they're like sort of good. This movie will change your mind about all of them, because this movie is sort of, it ties together a lot of story elements that are introduced in some of the earlier films, and it kind of fully realizes everything, in my opinion, that Marvel can be, and that comic book stories are capable of being. Obviously, I'm biased because I love Captain America. I have this Captain America shirt on and my spiffy Captain America watch. But this movie was amazing. Even if Captain America is not your favorite, this is going to be a really impressive movie. So you should definitely check it out. So yeah, that was my review of the new Captain America Civil War movie. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, and see you guys.